Hare Krishna, my dear devotees. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, right here in the live studios in Hythe, Kent, Southeast England, just a stone's throw from the English Channel. I'm here with my trusty assistant, Sri Abhay Das Brahmachari and Rasika Shiromani. And we're trying to understand just how great God is. Because everyone says God is great, no matter what religion they are. But hardly anybody knows how great God is. But this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam that we're reading now explains it in depth. You cannot help but understand more deeply how great God is if you read the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and hear it carefully in the association of like-minded Vaishnavas. And it's important because unless one is fixed in this understanding, it's difficult to understand Krishna. Jiva Goswami talks about how unless one can completely accept the word achintya for what it is, in other words, that Krishna can do anything and everything, then it's difficult to understand Krishna as he is in Goloka Vrindavan without mistaking that he's an ordinary person. So here we are, reading the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam every day, trying to understand how great Krishna is before we get to the 10th canto. Srila Sanatana Goswami compiled a stotram, Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Mahima Stotram, which explains the Bhagavatam, glorifies the Bhagavatam, and in that glorification explains what it is exactly, in a nutshell. It goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha, Sarva Vedaika Satpala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja, Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, O singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Purāṇa, Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Prabho, Kalidwan Doditaditya, Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, you are the sun, risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshakshadayate, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin, Madguru Madmahadana, Mannisadaka Madbhagya, Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadhu sadhutadayin atini chochatakada hanamunchakadachin mam premnarit kantayokspura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we reached the 10th chapter, which is the last chapter. I anticipate that we'll finish the second canto tomorrow. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Srikade Goswami is going deeper into the answers to Maharaj Parikshit's very comprehensive and profound questions, the answers to which form the rest of the Bhagavatam. And so we're beginning with text 41. And Shukadeva is going deeper into details of the creation of the universe. We'll hear even more details to next canto, in Canto 3, from Kapila Deva. Text 41. According to the different modes of material nature, the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of darkness, there are different living creatures who are known as demigods, human beings, and hellish living entities. O King, even a particular mode of nature, being mixed with the other two, is divided into three, and thus each kind of living creature is influenced by the other modes and acquires its habits also. Purport. The living entities individually are being conducted by a particular mode of nature, but at the same time there is every chance of their being influenced by the other two. Generally, all conditioned souls in the material engagement are influenced by the mode of passion, because every one of them is trying to lord it over the material nature to fulfill his individual desire. But in spite of the individual mode of passion, there is always the chance of being influenced by the other modes of nature by association. If one is in good association, he can develop the mode of goodness. And if in bad association, he may develop the mode of darkness or ignorance. Nothing is stereotyped. One can change his habit by good or bad association, and one has to become intelligent enough to discriminate between good and bad. The best association is the service of the devotees of the Lord, and by that association, one can become the highest qualified man by the grace of the Lord's pure devotees. As we have already seen in the life of Srila Narada Muni, he became the topmost devotee of the Lord simply by the association of pure devotees of the Lord. By birth, he was the son of a maidservant and had no knowledge of his father and no academic education, even of the lowest status. But simply by associating with the devotees and by eating the remnants of their foodstuff, he gradually developed the transcendental qualities of the devotees. By such association, his taste for chanting and hearing the transcendental glories of the Lord became prominent. And because the glories of the Lord are none different from the Lord, he got direct association with the Lord by means of sound representation. Similarly, there is the life of Ajamil, 6th canto, who was the son of a Brahmana and was educated and trained properly in the discharge of the duties of a Brahmana, but who, in spite of all this, because he contacted the bad association of a prostitute, was put into the path of the lowest quality of Chandala, or the last position for a human being. Therefore, the Bhagavatam always recommends the association of the Mahat, or the Great Soul, for opening the gate of salvation. To associate with persons engaged in lording it over the material world means to enter the darkest region of hell. One should try to raise himself by the association of the Great Soul. That is the way of the perfection of life. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, that great soul. Text 42. He, the personality of Godhead, as the maintainer of all in the universe, appears in different incarnations after establishing the creation, and thus he reclaims all kinds of conditioned souls amongst the human beings, amongst the humans, the non-humans, and the demigods. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, incarnates himself in different societies of living entities to reclaim them from the clutches of illusion. And such activities of the Lord are not limited only to human society. He incarnates himself even as a fish, hog, tree, and many other forms. But less intelligent persons who have no knowledge of him deride him, even if he is in human society, as a human being. The Lord therefore says in the Bhagavad Gita 9:11, Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam padam bhavamajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. As we have already discussed in the previous verses, it is concluded that the Lord is never a product of the material creation. His transcendental position is always unchanged. He is the eternal form of knowledge and bliss, and he executes his almighty will by his different energies. As such, he is never subject to reactions for any of his acts. He is transcendental to all such conceptions of actions and reactions. Even if he is visible in the material world, the exhibition is only of his internal energy, for he is above the good and bad conceptions of this material world. In the material world, the fish or the hog may be considered lower than the man, but when the Lord appears as a fish or hog, he is neither of them in the material conception. It is his causeless mercy that he appears in every society or species of life. But he is never to be considered one of them. Conceptions of the material world, such as good and bad, lower and upper, important and insignificant, are estimations of the material energy, and the Supreme Lord is transcendental to all such conceptions. The words Param Bhavam, or transcendental nature, can never be compared to the material conception. We should never forget that the potencies of the Almighty Lord are always the same and do not decrease because the Lord assumes the form of a lower animal. There is no difference between Lord Sri Rama, Lord Sri Krishna, and his incarnations as a fish and hog. He is all-pervading and simultaneously localized at any and every place. But the foolish person with a poor fund of knowledge, for want of that param bhavam of the Lord, cannot understand how the Supreme Lord can take the form of a man or a fish. One compares everything to one's own standard of knowledge, as the frog in the well considers the sea to be like the well. The frog in the well cannot even think of the sea, and when such a frog is informed of the greatness of the sea, he takes the conception of the sea as being a little greater than the well. As such, one who is foolish about the transcendental science of the Lord will find it difficult to understand how Lord Vishnu can equally manifest himself in every society of living entities. Text 43. Thereafter, at the end of the millennium, the Lord himself, in the form of Rudra, the destroyer, will annihilate the complete creation as the wind displaces the clouds. Purport. This creation is very appropriately compared to clouds. Clouds are created or situated in the sky, and when they are displaced, they remain in the same sky without manifestation. Similarly, the whole creation is made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his form of Brahma, and is maintained by him in the form of Vishnu, and it is destroyed by him in the form of Rudra or Shiva, all in due course. This creation, maintenance, and destruction are nicely explained in the Bhagavad Gita 8, 19, and 20 as follows. Bhutagramak sa evayam bhutva bhutva praliyate ratrargame bhashakparta prabhavat yarharagame padastasmat tubhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yaksa sarveshu bhuteshu nashatsu navinashyati. The nature of the material world is that it is first created very nicely, then it develops very nicely, and stays for a great number of years, even beyond the calculation of the greatest mathematician. But after that, it is again destroyed during the night of Brahma without any resistance. And at the end of the night of Brahma, it is again manifested as a creation to follow the same principles of maintenance and destruction. The foolish conditioned soul, who has taken this temporary world as a permanent settlement, has to learn intelligently why such creation and destruction take place. The fruitive actors in the material world are very enthusiastic in the creation of big enterprises, big houses, big empires, big industries, and so many big things out of the energy and ingredients supplied by the material agent of the Supreme Lord. With such resources, and at the cost of valuable energy, the conditioned soul creates, satisfying his whims, but he unwillingly has to depart from all his creations and enter into another phase of life to create again and again. To give hope to such foolish conditioned souls who waste their energy in this temporary material world, the Lord gives information that there is another nature, which is eternally existent, without being occasionally created or destroyed, and that the conditioned soul should utilize his valuable energy so that he can go there. Instead of wasting his energy in matter, which is sure to be destroyed in due course by the Supreme Will, the conditioned soul should utilize his energy in the devotional service of the Lord, so that he can be transferred to the other, eternal nature, where there is no birth, no death, no creation, and no destruction, but permanent life instead, full of knowledge and unlimited bliss. The temporary creation is thus exhibited and destroyed just to give information to the conditioned soul, who is attached to temporary things. It is also meant to give him a chance for self-realization, and not for sense gratification, which is the prime aim of all fruitive actors. Text 44. The great transcendentalists thus describe the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the pure devotees deserve to see more glorious things in transcendence beyond these features. Purport. The Lord is not the only creator and destroyer of the material manifestations of his different energies. He is more than a simple creator and destroyer. For there is, I got to read that again. I don't think I read that sentence properly. Purport. The Lord is not only the creator and destroyer of the material manifestations of his different energies. He is more than a simple creator and destroyer, for there is his feature of Ananda, or his pleasure feature. This pleasure feature of the Lord is understood by the pure devotees only, and not by others. The impersonalist is satisfied simply by understanding the all-pervasive influence of the Lord. This is called Brahman Realization. Greater than the impersonalist is the mystic, who sees the Lord situated in his heart as Paramatma, the partial representation of the Lord. But there are pure devotees who take part in the direct pleasure, Ananda potency of the Lord by factual reciprocation of loving service. The Lord in his abode, called the Vaikuntha planets, which are eternal manifestations, always remains with his associates and enjoys transcendental loving services rendered by his pure devotees in different transcendental humors. During the manifestation of the creation, the pure devotees of the Lord practice that devotional service to the Lord and thus take full advantage of the manifestation by qualifying themselves to enter into the kingdom of God. The Bhagavad Gita 18:55 confirms this. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyas chasmi tatpataha tato mam tatpato gyatva vishite tadanantaram. By development of pure devotional service, one can factually know the Lord as he is, and thus be trained in the bona fide service of the Lord, and be allowed to enter into the direct association of the Lord in so many capacities. The highest glorious association with the Lord is made possible in the planet of Goloka Vrindavan, where Lord Sri Krishna enjoys himself with the gopis and his favorite animals, the Surabhi cows. A description of this transcendental land of Krishna is given in the Brahma Samhita, which is considered by Lord Sri Chaitanya to be the most authentic literature in this connection. Text 45. There is no direct engineering by the Lord for the creation and destruction of the material world. What is described in the Vedas about his direct interference is simply to counteract the idea that material nature is the creator. I'll read that again. There is no direct engineering by the Lord for the creation and destruction of the material world. What is described in the Vedas about his direct interference is simply to counteract the idea that material nature is the creator. Purport. The Vedic direction for the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world is this: Yato va imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yat pradant nat prayant yabhisam sang vishanti. That is, everything is created by Brahman. After creation, everything is maintained by Brahman, and after annihilation, everything is conserved in Brahman. Gross materialists, without any knowledge of Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan, conclude material nature to be the ultimate cause of the material manifestation. And the modern scientist also shares this view that the material nature is the ultimate cause of all the manifestations of the material world. This view is refuted by all Vedic literature. The Vedanta philosophy mentions that Brahman is the fountainhead of all creation, maintenance, and destruction. And Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the natural commentation on the Vedanta philosophy, says, Janmad yasya yaton bayad, itaratash charteshu abhigya swarat, etc. Inert matter is undoubtedly energy with potential to interact, but it has no initiative of its own. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam therefore comments on the aphorism Janmad yasya by saying abhigya and swarat. That is, the Supreme Brahman is not inert matter, but he is supreme consciousness and is independent. Therefore, inert matter cannot be the ultimate cause of the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world. Superficially, material nature appears to be the cause of creation, maintenance, and destruction. But material nature is set into motion for creation. But material nature is set into motion for creation by the Supreme Conscious Being, the Personality of Godhead. He is the background of all creation, maintenance, and destruction. And this is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9:10. Maya jakshena prakriti suyate sachadacharam hetunan inukonteya jagad viparivartate. The material nature is one of the energies of the Lord, and she can work under the direction of the Lord, adhyakshena. When the Lord throws his transcendental glance over the material nature, then only can the material nature act, as a father contacts the mother, who is then able to conceive a child. Although it appears to the layman that the mother gives birth to the child, the experienced man knows that the father gives birth to the child. The material nature therefore produces the moving and standing manifestations of the material world after being contacted by the Supreme Father, and not independently. Considering material nature to be the cause of creation, maintenance, etc., is called the logic of nipples on the neck of a goat. The Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes this logic of Aja Galastana Yaya as follows, as explained by His Divine Grace, Sri Śrīmad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. The material nature, as the material cause, is known as pradhan, and as the efficient cause, it is known as maya. But since it is inert matter, it is not the remote cause of creation. Kaviraj Goswami states as follows, Atayeva Krishna Mula Jagat Karana Prakriti Karana Yaiche Ajja Galastana. CC Adi 561. Because Karanarvana Vashayi Vishnu is a plenary expansion of Krishna, it is he who electrifies the matter to put it into motion. The example of electrification is quite appropriate. A piece of iron is certainly not fire, but when the iron is made red hot, certainly it has the quality of fire through its burning capacity. Matter is compared to the piece of iron, and it is electrified or made red hot by the glance or manipulation of the Supreme Consciousness of Vishnu. Only by such electrification is the energy of matter displayed in various actions and reactions. Therefore, inert matter is neither the efficient nor the material cause of the cosmic manifestation. Sri Kapila Dev has said, Yatol Mukad Bispulingad Dumat Vapi Swasambhavat Apyat Mat Vena Bimatad Yatagni Pritag Ul Mukad. Bhagavatam 3:28-40. The original fire, its flame, its sparks, and its smoke are all one. For fire is still fire, yet it is different from the flame. The flame is different from the sparks, and the sparks are different from the smoke. In every one of them, namely in the flames, in the sparks, and in the smoke, the ingredient of fire is present, yet all of them are differently situated with different positions. The cosmic manifestation is compared to the smoke, because when smoke passes over the sky, so many forms appear, resembling many known and unknown manifestations. The sparks are compared to living entities, and the flames are compared to material nature, Pradhan. One must know that each and every one of them is effective simply because of being empowered by the quality of the original fire. Therefore all of them, namely the material nature, the cosmic manifestation, and the living entities, are but different energies of the Lord, fire. Therefore those who accept the material nature, Prakriti, as the cosmic manifestation's original cause, Prakriti is the cause of creation according to Sankhya philosophy, are not correct in their conclusion. The material nature has no separate existence without the Lord. Therefore, setting aside the Supreme Lord as the cause of all causes is the logic of Ajagalastana Nyaya, or trying to milk the nipples on the neck of a goat. The nipples on the neck of a goat may seem like sources of milk, but try to get milk from such nipples. But to try to get milk from such nipples will be foolish. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Text 46. This process of creation and annihilation, described in summary herein, is the regulative principle during the duration of Brahma's one day. It is also the regulative principle in the creation of Mahat, in which the material nature is dispersed. Purport. There are three different types of creation, called Mahakalpa, Vikalpa, and Kalpa. In the Mahakalpa, the Lord assumes the first Purusha, incarnation, as Karnadakashayi Vishnu, with all the potencies of the Mahatattva, and the 16 principles of creative matter and instruments. The creative instruments are 11, the ingredients are 5, and all of them are products of Mahat, or the materialistic ego. These creations by the Lord in his feature of Karnadakashayi Vishnu are called Mahakalpas. The creation of Brahma and the dispersion of the material ingredients is called Kalpa, and the creation by Brahma in each day of his life is called Kalpa. Therefore each day of Brahma is called a Kalpa, and there are 30 Kalpas in each of Brahma's months. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 8:17 as follows. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyad Brahmano Viduhu Ratrinim Yuga Sahasrantam Tehoratra Vidojanaha. In the upper planetary system, the duration of one complete day and night is equal to one complete year of this earth. This is accepted even by the modern scientist and attested by the astronauts. Similarly, in the region of still higher planetary systems, the duration of life and night is still greater than in the heavenly planets. The 4 yugas are calculated in terms of the heavenly calendar and accordingly last 12,000 years in the terms of the heavenly planets. This is called a Divya Yuga, and 1,000 Divya Yugas make 1 day of Brahma. As mentioned above, the creation during the day of Brahma is called a kalpa, and the creation of Brahma is called a vikalpa. When vikalpas are made possible by the breathing of Mahavishnu, this is called a Mahakalpa. There are regular and systematic cycles of these Mahakalpas, Vikalpas, and Kalpas. In the Prabhaskanda of the Skanda Purāṇa, Shukadev Goswami replies as follows to a question of Maharaj Parikshit's concerning the Kalpas. Pratamak Shvetakalpascha Dvitiyo Nila Lohitaha Vamadevas Tritiyastu Tato Gata Nutaro Paraha Rauravak Panchamak Prokta Shastak Prana Iti Smrita Shastak Prana Iti Smritaha Saptamo Ta Brihat Kalpa Kandarpo Shtamakduchate Sadyata Navamak Kalpa Ishano Dashamak Smritaha Jnana Ekashadak Proktas Tata Saravasto Sarasvato Padaha Trayo Dasha Udanastu Garudo Tachatur Dashaha Komarak Korma Prachandasho Yeyag Paunamasi Prajapatehe Sudasho Narasingastu Samadhis Tu Tato Padaha Agyeyo Vishnujak Saura Somakalpas Tato Padaha Dvamingsho Babanak Prokta Supaman Iti Chapadaha Vaikuntas Charshitas Tavad Tadvad Valikalpas Tato Padaha Saptabingsho Tavairajo Gori Kalpas Tatapada Maheshwaras Tata Proktas Tripuro Yatragatitaha Pitri Kalpas Tata Chante Yakska Kahur Brahmanak Smrita. The 30 kalpas of Brahma are 1. Shweta, 2. Nilaholita, 3. Vamadev, 4. Gatantara, 5. Rorava, 6. Prana, 7. Brihat, 8. Kandarpa, 9. Sadyota, 10. Ishana, 11. Dhyana, 12. Saraswata, 13. Udana, 14. Garuda, 15. Karma, 16. Narashinga, 17. Samadhi, 18. Agyeya, 19. Vishnuja, 20. Sora, 21. Soma, 22. Bhavana, 23. Supama, 24. Vaikunta, 25. Archisha, 26. Vali, 27. Vairaja, 28. Gauri, 30. Maheshwara, and 29 Maheshwara, and 30 Paitri. These are Brahma's days only, and he has to live months of these days up to 100 years. So we can just imagine how many creations there are in kalpas only. Then again, there are vikalpas, which, as mentioned above, are generated by the breathing of Mahavishnu. This is stated in the Brahma Samhita, Yasyaikat nivashitakalam atavalambhya jivanti loma vilaja jagadanda nataha. Brahma Samhita 548. The Brahmas live only during the breathing period of Mahavishnu. So the exhaling and inhaling of Vishnu are Mahakalpas, and all these are due to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for no one else is the master of all creations. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Took a little too much time reading all that. I forgot that there were that many verses, so I just kept going. Okay. That brings us a little over 8 o'clock, believe it or not. So we're going to stop our reading here and reflect with the assembled sages on what we heard. Hare Krishna.
First is from Gopakanya Devi Dasi.
Yes, Gopakanya Devi Dasi.
Jai Maharaj, Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Eagerly waiting for the greatest moments. Jai Ho.
Hare Krishna.
And from Sudevi Dasi.
Yes, Sudevi Dasi.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
And from Rati Manjari.
Yes, Rati.
Jai Guru Maharaj. We never want to stop hearing, we never want to finish hearing from you.
Thank you very much. I never want to stop reading. That makes 2 of us at least. Hare Krishna.
And Bhakta Christopher says, Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna, Bhakta Christopher.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai, all glories to His divine grace. Hare Krishna.
And from Jagamohan.
Jai Jagamohan.
Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj. Please accept my respectful obeisances. In tonight's purports, Prabhupada really emphasized the fact that everything about material nature is temporary. We are in such a bewildered state of consciousness. We are caught up trying to reorganize the world according to the whims of our temporary desires, and this cycle will continue indefinitely. As I introspect into my own state of being, I find Srila Prabhupada's depictions to be spot on. I am certainly in this bewildered state of consciousness. Listening to His divine grace explain the context of the verses through his purports sure is enlightening. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the daily readings, all glories to the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam.
Jai, all glories to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Thank you very much for that very nice reflection. And it's a fact that we are conditioned, but just the fact that we can say that, just the fact that you can say that, puts you in a different category than almost 99.999.9% of the people on this planet. So you should feel encouraged. Hare Krishna.
And this is from Rosie.
Rosie, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well, Hare Krishna to you. Thank you for attending. Thank you for hearing.
And Bhakta Rupa says, Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol Bhakta Rupa, Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, oh Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We have a deathless silence.
From Gauranga Gopal.
Yes, Gauranga Gopal, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for reading tonight. I appreciated part of verse 43 purport. Quote, instead of wasting his energy in matter, which is sure to be destroyed in due course by the Supreme Will, the conditioned soul should utilize his energy in the devotional service of the Lord, so that he can be transferred to the other, eternal nature, where there is no birth, no death, no creation, no destruction, but permanent life instead, full of knowledge and unlimited bliss. Unquote. We are just working so hard to get such a dim reflection of the real deal. That is so unfortunate.
Yes, it is greatly unfortunate. And those of us who have any inclination or any inkling of this truth must share it with others. It's the only kind thing to do. Hare Krishna.
And from Rati Manjari.
Yes, Rati.
Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you for reading. I found it a bit difficult to hear tonight, probably because my life is largely organized around trying to master matter. I am currently overseeing some remodeling in my home, investing in the tiles of my bathroom and other material elements, and it is somewhat embarrassing and agitating to hear how insignificant it is.
Well, to make you feel better, we just had to put a new little vanity sink in this little tiny ensuite bathroom that I have, which is probably a closed closet, transformed. But it's what we have to do sometimes, It was, in my case, it wasn't just, looks and luxury. It was the basin was so small that water got everywhere. It was like this big, to do anything. It just water went everywhere, and it was going to spoil the walls and different things. So sometimes we have to do that, in order to live in this material world. But we shouldn't be agitated by it. Just keep thinking of Krishna and hearing about Krishna the way we are, and take it that this is an ashram. You are also living in an ashram, even though you're living in a flat by yourself. It is an ashram, because you are, I know, I've seen pictures of your altar. There's no ordinary, flat that has altar like you do, like we have, but yours is much more, elaborate, and many more personalities and so many things, which all awaken memories of Krishna consciousness. So, therefore, there's a way to do those things and not feel like you're kind of deviating. Hare Krishna.
She says, I often wonder how to balance this point.
You don't need to balance anything. Just take it as belonging to Krishna. That's all. And make everything around you just right for Krishna. It's Krishna's house, Krishna's flat. Hare Krishna. That's how to balance it. Hare Krishna. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta-vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. See you tomorrow night, same time, same place, same topic, as the universe is revealed to us more and more, what it is and how it came to be and how it works, so that we can become inspired to remember Krishna, the ultimate creator, the remote ultimate creator. Hare Krishna. I thought that was a very nice example, by the way, that the woman's body is creating the body, but it can't create the body without connection with the man. Therefore, it's the man who creates the body. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow.